Thank you for your patience, if you still have some. My name is William Selm. I'm presenting on the topic of Wegweiser, German place names in Indiana, which is also the name of a traveling exhibit, which has been around but a lot of central Indiana and other parts of the state. The German word Wegweiser literally translates into English as way knower. Wegweiser directional signs are found throughout Europe at road and path intersections. So even on walking paths, you'll find. Wegweiser is also a guidebook. In 2012, Indiana German Heritage Society invested in my idea of an Indiana Wegweiser, pointing the way to German traces, German traces that are on the Indiana landscape. Places named for places in German-speaking Europe. But there are imbalances. For example, the great port city of Hamburg, founded in the 9th century by Charlemagne, has two tiny namesakes in Indiana, founded in the 19th century. I had the idea of a Wegweiser exhibit in my head for 25 years, but since 2012, the Wegweiser came into reality and has been in many schools, libraries, festivals, and the Indiana State House. So the exhibit also comes with a map finder for German-speaking Europe, as well as for Indiana, and the names of the places. I'm not going to call them cities, because most of the places in Indiana, I think there are two that are, or one that is a county seat. The rest of them are are villages or become suburban. So they are Munster, Brunswick, Coburg, Bremen, Altona, Hessen-Kassel, Bern, Lucerne, Frankfurt, Hamburg, and there's two Hamburgs, Oldenburg, Milhausen, New Alsace, Hanover, Vienna, Leipzig, West Baden Springs, Fulda, Stendal, Elberfeld, Darmstadt, Lippe, and St. Wendel and Westphalia. And as you can see on the map, I hope that you can see it, these dots are dispersed, but we do have a high concentration across God's country from southwestern Indiana to southeastern Indiana. Germans settled in Indiana before statehood in 1816. And one of the most famous German settlements was Harmony, later called New Harmony, in Posey County. And Posey County is in the very tip of the toe. So it's as far away as you can get in Indiana and still be in Indiana. It was founded in 1814 by Georg Rapp, R-A-P-P. German Americans can be found throughout all the 92 counties of Indiana. Of course, there's a historical marker from the Indiana Historical Bureau stating the importance of New Harmony. This map shows in the varying degrees of Germanness of each county. The most German counties are Du Bois County, Ripley County, Franklin County, Adams County, and LaGrange County, right here at the top south of the Michigan line. So we're stretching almost from the Ohio up to Michigan. And there are Germans in every one of these counties. I should say German Americans. Those counties were densely populated, the five that I mentioned. And these German immigrants bought and worked farms, opened workshops, banks, had professional offices, retail and wholesale stores, and engaged in other occupational activities as skilled and unskilled laborers. They also organized and built churches, schools, social and cultural clubs, and villages. Place names are markers on the landscape of German settlement, as are the churches, the family names, and family names on businesses, are on rural mailboxes, but also institutions. such as this one, which was founded in 1910 in Jasper. And it was one of several banks in Indiana before the First World War that had the word German in its name, and it is the only survivor. Indiana German Heritage Society was founded in 1984, following the German immigration tricentenary of 1983. The mission of Indiana German Heritage Society is to study, understand, identify, preserve, share, and celebrate the state's diverse German American heritage of language, arts, folklore, biography, religion, commerce, science, education, medicine, manufacturing, etc., and you name it, and Germans were involved in it. The Indiana German Heritage Society is interested in the contribution to Indiana life by German-speaking immigrants and their descendants, from their descendants, and these German immigrants came from German-speaking Europe, which includes Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Alsace-Lorraine, Russia, the Balkans, and other areas. Now, if we look at this map of Europe in 1815, that's the important year because the Napoleonic Wars were over, and the Congress of Vienna had already decided how to put the pieces back together again after, well, sort of, back together again, to the advantage of major powers of Russia, Prussia, England, and France was also invited to the Congress. So if we see the red line here, that is the German Confederation. So that includes most of what became the German Reich, as well as Switzerland was not part of that, neutral, but also Austria and its holdings. If we look at a map from 1921, this came from the Library of Congress, red shows German-speaking Europe. And that includes, of course, the Second Reich, which includes going here along the Baltic into East Prussia, also Switzerland and Austria. And it looks like Eastern Europe has the measles, because these are pockets of German-speaking communities, which would go also down into the Balkans along the Danube, because Germans colonized that once the Turks were defeated and driven out. So German-speaking Europe, as I mentioned before, these places, and also the etc., because the etc. then has includes these many different pockets. Many of these pockets have disappeared because of the settlement of ethnic cleansing by Joseph Stalin after the Second World War. The Germans were evicted at bayonet point. The ones that remained in Romania eventually were held as hostages, and some of them were, when money was paid, they were released, were allowed to leave. And then, of course, then they settled in Germany. So this exhibit was, as I said, is a project of the Indiana German Heritage Society to educate all German Americans and others as to the extent of German communities throughout the state. Indiana German Heritage Society is a non-for-profit statewide organization interested in history, education, and cultural membership organization. It seeks members. So if you're not a member, please join. And it's also tax deductible. So donations are happily received. And we have to further its program of this exhibit, publications, research, discussion, and also celebration of German heritage. Wegweiser exhibit furthers the mission of the Indiana German Heritage Society. And there you can see, this was that German Fest last year, just out on the street of Michigan. And you can see lots of people drinking beer and then taking selfies with Wegweiser. That seems to be very popular. The Wegweiser exhibit covers 24 German place names in town, cities, and states in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Alsace. There are also names of Indiana towns and that are also names of Indiana towns and villages. These German place names can be found throughout the state. Some of these, of course, going back to Germany, subdivided into 16 states or Bundesländer. So some of these names have were transplanted intact. So such as Oldenburg, Indiana, founded 1837. And there's two Hamburgs, and they're both tiny. So there's plenty of room for a third one even. Also in Franklin County and also in the farther south. There's also Lippe, founded in 1890 in Posey County, and Posey is where, excuse me, where New Harmony is. Darmstadt near Evansville, founded around 1860. Bremen in Marshall County, 1851. Elberfeld, 1868 in Warwick County, again, in extreme southwestern Indiana. Stendal in Pike County in 1860s. And the other, Hamburg, 1837 in Clark County. Other names are English versions. So these are the intact names. Okay. The intact names, which have not been altered or changed, but we also have towns which have anglicized German names. Or in the case here at Bern, they're using the French spelling with an E for reasons best known to themselves. Brunswick, of course, is the English translation of Braunschweig. Wien is Vienna in English. Westphalia or Westfalen. New Alsace is Alsace, of course, the German-speaking area of Eastern France, where also we would find Milhausen. Leipzig in the east, which is in Saxony, Hanover, and Indiana's famous for its college, but it is more or less more towards the center of Germany. Frankfurt, and as you know, there are two Frankfurts. The big one, the most famous one, is Frankfurt am Main, the Main River. The other one is farther east on the eastern edge, on the border of Poland, is Frankfurt am Oder. And also, so that's in Clinton County, which is central Indiana. Vandenberg County has St. Wendel, and the original one is in Saarland, in the extreme western portion of Germany. Luzern is in Switzerland, again using the French spelling, and West Baden Springs, and I'll be trying to sort that out for you as we go on. Then we have three names, or three communities which have anglicized German names, and they are part of the I call it the British German royal connections. Brunswick, Hanover, Coburg, or Coburg, Hanover, and Braunschweig. Now, how do we get these names? Well, these names, these three communities, are not named directly for places in Germany, but rather they are named for other places in North America. And so we have, and they were named then after the royal house or dynasties. We have the House of Hanover, or it's called Guelph. And that was King George I, II, III, IV, his brother William IV, and also their niece, who's Victoria. They were of the House of Hanover. They also had the titles of Prince Electors of the Holy Roman Empire, Kings of the United Kingdom, and the Dukes of Braunschweig and Lüneburg. Coburg is in northern Indiana, but it takes its name from Coburg in Ontario. And Princess Charlotte married, so she was the daughter. I know you like all this royal genealogy stuff, but Princess Charlotte was the daughter of William IV. She married in 1816 after the Napoleonic War, the King of the Belgians, who was Leopold von Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. Victoria then married Prince Albert von Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, So even before they were married, he was Uncle Leopold to both Victoria and Albert, because Victoria and Albert were first cousins. Don't tell anyone. Okay. So we get these names, and Brunswick was named for Brunswick, New Jersey. So these are what, doing double duty. When they were naming these towns in Indiana, they weren't thinking they were German names. They were merely places from where they came. And again, 16 states. Of course, but our field here also includes Austria, Switzerland, and Alsace-Lorraine. And Alsace is this lower portion. Okay, we have the town, and Hanover was named for Hanover, New Hampshire, of all places. Both Hanover and, okay, we covered that. Some Indiana place names are named for historical territories rather than cities of German Europe, such as Westphalia in Knox County. Knox County is where Vincennes is, by the way, and also Hessen Castle in Allen County, way up north from us. Also Oldenburg in Franklin County, New Alsace in Dearborn, Lippe in Posey County. Alsace was the former German province of the west bank of the Rhine, and Alsace-Lorraine formed the French eastern border with Germany today. Some of the German states no longer exist or have been consolidated into larger states. Internal political reorganization took place in Germany, well, first with Napoleon, who smashed the Holy Roman Empire, destroyed that, and then also after the Second World War, and then with unification. Today, the Federal Republic of Germany, as I said, is composed of 16 states or Bundesländer, such as North Rhine-Westphalia. In 1946, Westphalia or Westfalen merged with the former Principality of Lippe and the northern part of the Rhineland to form what is called Nord Rhine-Westphalia. Cologne is in that Länder. Hessen-Kassel was a German principality, and this is the location of Hessen. So we have two cities there, Kassel and Darmstadt, and those two cities we have their namesakes here, one up near Fort Wayne and the other down by Evansville. So that's quite a one end of the state to the other. Hessen and Darmstadt were two cities in that state. Oldenburg and Franklin County. Oldenburg and Franklin County is named not after the city of Oldenburg, but rather the Grand Duchy. And this is the dark red shows the extent of the Grand Duchy, which also include two other places. Of course, that's what you get when you get married. You know, you get some other stuff. The Dukes, the Grand Dukes of Oldenburg, this is the House of Oldenburg. It's the gold shield, which is then integrated into this larger shield, which represents then the Grand Duchy. Then we have St. Wendel in Vandenberg County, and St. Wendel is a city in the Bundesland Saarland, which is the extreme western portion of Germany. And this area, its capital is Saarbrücken. So it's a very small state compared, let's say, to Bavaria here to the farther to the east. Then we come to Fulda, and there's no particular order to this. It's just my own order. So we come to Fulda in Spencer County, which is down on the Ohio and close to Evansville. And the original Fulda is here, right in central Germany in Hessen. Indiana has a number of towns and villages bearing the names of saints. Many of these places are named for the German Catholic parishes in those communities, such as St. Mary of the Rock and St. Peter in Franklin County, St. Henry and St. Anthony in Du Bois, St. Joseph in Floyd County and Vanderburgh County, there's two, and St. Philip's and St. Wendell in Posey County. In the northeastern area of Bundesland Saarland is the city of St. Wendell, which I've already showed you. And he is buried or entombed in the St. Wendell Church in Germany. Father Kundak, who is an important Catholic figure in southwestern Indiana, founded the city of Fulda in 1845. And he also gave it the name of this town in Spencer County. And again, it's located in Hessen. Saint Boniface was the martyred apostle to the Germans. He founded and is entombed in the great Benedictine Abbey Church here in the Baroque style, right in Fulda. And Fulda, Indiana, then has its own Saint Boniface Church, rather plain in comparison and small. However, the high altar is a magnificent thing, artwork in the Baroque style. And the painting here shows the martyrdom of Saint Boniface or Bonifatius. And also in Spencer County is a place called Maria Hill. All right. But Maria Hill is the corruption of its original name, Maria Hilf uns Christens, or Mary help us Christians, named by pious German Catholics to honor the Blessed Virgin Mary as their intercessor. Two Indiana towns are the namesakes of cantons and cities in Switzerland. And Switzerland, as you know, is a multi-ethnic, multilingual country with 4 official languages. Can anyone name those? Right, the 4. And Romansh is a very small language group. Thank you. You didn't know there would be a quiz. You didn't know there would be a quiz. No, okay. Okay. Now, we also have, this is Adams County, where Bern is located, and Luzerne is more in the center of the state, but up the northern tier. Now, Bern has embraced its Swiss heritage by adopting a coat of arms and a flag, and of course the Wappentier, or the shield animal, heraldry animal, is the bear. And of course, Bern comes from the word bear. Now, when I labeled this, I called it the Bern Mama Bear and the Bern Baby Bear. But at a closer examination, this red piece here tells me that it's really a Papa Bear. And I see that the Mennonites in Bern with an E have eliminated that detail completely. Now, I love this coat of arms and the flag, except for one thing, because I'm an amateur heraldist. They shouldn't have lettering on it. You don't need words on it. You have those symbols which speak for themselves. But anyway, I don't think they're going to change it. So we have other elements of Schweitzer, Indiana. Of course, we've already talked about Bern in Adams County, and Adams County is one of these very, very heavily settled German counties. And you've got the whole range there. Amish, Mennonites, Brethren, Dunkards, Lutherans, and Catholics. You got the whole gamut there. And Lucerne is here in Cass County. But we also have Switzerland County, and then we have Tell City, and we also have St. Meinrad with all Swiss connections. Let's see. Switzerland County was settled not by German Swiss, but by French Swiss. And you can see in the names of people there and also locations. But also Perry County is named for the 14th century Swiss national hero, Wilhelm Tell. And of course, you all know the overture made famous by the Lone Ranger. It was founded by German Swiss Colony Company or Colonization Society in Cincinnati, trying to locate a good place to buy land and start a community which would be inexpensive. And ironically, Switzerland does not have a city or town named for Wilhelm Tell, but Indiana does. Switzerland takes its name from Schweiz, one of the original cantons, and that's what they call the states, they're cantons, of the Swiss Confederation. St. Meinrad, Spencer County, takes its name from the Benedictine Arch Abbey, founded by Swiss monks from Einsiedeln in Schweiz. So we're doing double duty here. So many of the towns and villages with German names were founded by immigrants and inhabited by German immigrants, such as Oldenburg and Fulda. Some have 1 degree of separation named for earlier American settlements, such as Hanover and Braunschweig. Now we come to this interesting story. I think it's interesting. You be the judge. West Baden Springs. West Baden Springs is the case of a canny marketing, banking on the good name and reputation of the world's most famous spring-fed spa, Baden in Baden. Dr. John A. Lane, and let's put doctor in quotes here. He was an itinerant medicine man. He bought 770 acres of land in Orange County, located here, right in south central Indiana. And the acreage also included natural mineral springs. Lane built his resort in 1851 to rival the earlier French Lick resort or spa nearby. Baden was the most famous spa in the world, and as guidebooks of that era point that out, because that's where Queen Victoria, the Tsar of Russia, they would visit there. West Baden is seen as the Baden of the West. That's the name. But the good people of West Baden today have been told that West Baden is the namesake of Wiesbaden, which is also in the state of Baden. So it is another, but a lesser known, not as famous as the of the German spas. And added to the confusion is this gateway, which says West Baden Springs, the Carlsbad of America. That's going to get people very confused. And of course, Carlsbad now is in the area of the Czech Republic closest to Germany. It's in the Sudetenland. And that was founded by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles IV in the 14th century. Now, we also have a place, I'm going back now, we also have a place called Switz City in Greene County, but it's named for John Switz, a Rhinelander, not from Switzerland. So there's really no Swiss connection. German names of people abound on the map of Indiana, named for people rather than places in Europe. The counties of DeKalb and Steuben are 2 northern Indiana counties that bear the name of Germans who achieved fame during the American Revolution. DeKalb County honors Baron Johann DeKalb, also general. This Bavarian was a professional soldier in the French army and was commissioned a general in the Continental Army. He died from battle wounds during the Revolution. Baron Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben served as George Washington's Inspector General and wrote the first manual of arms for the Continental Army. I'm sure you saw in your history book, there's a famous painting of him drilling in the snows of Valley Forge, issuing commands on how to handle a weapon and how to stand in formation. Steuben County contains Steubenville, which is in Steuben Township. Numerous towns and villages in Indiana are named for their German founders or for early settlers, such as Peppertown in Franklin County, Reifsburg, and some of them are here, Reifsburg in Wells County, Weisburg in Dearborn, Meltzer in Shelby County, Kramer in Warren, Clausville in Lake County, Fultz in Jefferson, Herbst in Grant County, Heilman in Warwick County, Bretzman and Schnellville in Du Bois, and Hauptstadt in Gibson County. But also Munster in Lake County is named for Eldert Munster, which winds up being the same name as the big city in Western Germany, Munster. Then we had, but by the way, he was from the Netherlands, not from Germany, not directly from Germany. We also have two towns which have royal and imperial connections. Ferdinand in Du Bois County was named for Kaiser Ferdinand von Habsburg, the emperor of the Austrian Empire. This was founded by Father Kundak, and Father Kundak had Ferdinand as his patron. He was sending donations for Kundak to continue his work, which is buying real estate to have a plantation of German immigrants. Leopold was in Perry County, and again, that's where Tell City is. Leopold von Sachsen-Coburg-Saalfeld, who was the king of the Belgians. Just as a reminder, Belgium is a new country. It was founded in the 1830s in the wake of the Napoleonic Wars. So they wound up asking Leopold if he'd like to be the king of the Belgians, and he said, sure, okay. There's another situation when the Greeks won independence from the Turks, and they started having the new country of Greece. Even though it's the birthplace of democracy, they had a monarchy, and the monarch was from Bavaria. So I guess there are stranger things. Both of these cities or towns were founded by Catholic priests. Father Bessenes, very early in Catholic history in the 19th century in Indiana. He founded this because there was a small community of Belgians who had come, and so it was named after the first king of Belgium. And by the way, Leopold is not the Leopold of the Congo, by the way. So just, we don't have to, rename it. This is Leopold I. Then there are German towns, and let's see, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? A couple of years ago, Don Flick gave a wonderful presentation on the German towns of Indiana.
There are actually 7 German towns.
And then names change over time. So we see here East Germantown in Wayne County, so it's near Richmond. That's the second name for the town. So it had an earlier name that was called East Germantown. Now, why East German? It's got nothing to do with East Germany. Just that, and I'm not quite sure about the East. Did you ever crack that nut?
Towns named German. The post office came along and said, you got each have a different name. So the eastern nodes are going to like Eastern. The one in Indianapolis, German,
and then there's also Germantown in Decatur County, and Germantown, which is on the Marion. And so these towns change names because the post office says we've already have one. You got to come up with another name. So that's common in these town histories. On the Marion County line, but it's not, site is at the bottom of Geist Reservoir. So I don't know if there's still foundations there. Did they vacate the cemetery? So Germantowns, and there's also a place called Germany in Indiana. East Germantown was founded in 1821, the year that Indianapolis was founded, but renamed in 1832 East Germantown. And then during the First World War, the name was changed to Pershing. And of course, that's the John J. Pershing, the First World War commander of the American Expeditionary Force, fighting German troops in France. East Germantown, they still use the sign. So there's two names on this small town. It's so big, it had to name it twice. Germantown survives as an alternative or secondary name, and it's right on the National Road. Ironically, Pershing was of German ancestry, so the joke's on them. He was Friedrich Porschen. His ancestor emigrated from Alsace in the mid-18th century. The name of Germantown and Decatur County survived the two world wars unchanged. And then there are also a number of townships in the state, St. Joseph County, Bartholomew, Vanderburgh, Marshall, and I'm sure there are others. Now we have some contrasts. As I said, there's two Hamburgs. One is merely a crossroads. It was founded in the 1860s, and it's immediately north of Oldenburg. And this town was hit by a tornado, a devastating tornado in 1974, which destroyed the historical church and most of the other buildings in town. So there's very, very little. It's just basically a wide spot in the road. But it's named after the great city of Hamburg, which was founded by Charlemagne in the 8th century. And also it's one of the biggest ports in all of Europe. And then there's the other one in Clark County, which is more or less now a suburb. But here's these two 19th century views. Of course, when the harbor was full of sailing ships, and later it would be steamships. So either by transplanting familiar names from the Heimat or the homeland, or by founding and naming German settlements for German pioneers or their parishes, the German imprint on the map of Indiana is indelible. One is a county seat, but often they are villages and sometimes just merely a wide place in the road. And another view, this is Elberfeld and located in Nordrhein-Westfalen. Elberfeld, Elberfeld in Indiana was founded in the 1860s. And this is Frankfurt. Of course, Frankfurt is the great financial center of Germany and of all of Europe, right on the Main River. And as I said before, there are two Frankfurts, Am Main, and then it was Am Oder. And Am Oder then is on the Oder River on the German side. On the other side is Poland. Now, what are my sources? Numerous Indiana county histories. That's where and also atlases, which then provide the information of when the town was platted and who platted it. And then you can see if they're German or not. Sometimes you have people with English names platting it, naming it in German, hoping to get customers to buy real estate, which is often the case. But it's Ronald L. Baker's book, From Needmore to Prosperity, published in 1995. And this was his second volume. This is the more complete one. That's the one I recommend for you. The other one was published in the 70s. Now, he was professor of English at, not history, but English at Indiana State University when I was there. But I had no idea that he was doing this because I would like to have worked with him and know more about this, but that was a long time ago. And I recommend that book for you because it is very thorough. Then, of course, we come a place, here's the place called Das Ende. And again, the exhibit is a traveling exhibit. So it's been numerous places, and this is the finial at the very top. It's in two parts. The top part looks like a Wegweiser, what you find on an intersection in Germany, and with the finial on top identifying, of course, the Indiana German Heritage Society. So that is my offering this evening. And as I said, 25 years, or I carried this idea for 25 years till I brought it to Indiana German Heritage Society to turn it into a reality, an exhibit. And I'm very proud of it. And it seems to get a lot of selfie interest when it's set up in various places, especially at festivals. All right, that's the conclusion. And are there any questions?
This is obviously based on Indiana.
Yes,
But there are states.
yes, yes. So Pennsylvania has lots of German names, of course. Ohio does, Wisconsin. So wherever Germans are settled, and sometimes it's not even German, as in the case of West Baden Springs, it just sounded like a good idea, for financial purposes, to ride on the coattails of the great Baden. So we'll find German names throughout the country. Don, did you do any looking outside of Indiana for German towns?
Little bit.
And especially when we had a lot of German settlement in the 19th century. Because all these, yeah,
The first term that came over, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They sprinkled through the Midwest. The first time, that's right. The first, in 1838, there were 7 German towns. And that's because other people were naming the towns. They were saying, these Germans are coming in, we're gonna call this German. The Germans weren't naming it themselves. So it wasn't until the 1840s when the Germans were able to start coming in.
and buying land, yeah.
Yeah, buying land, so they started naming the towns themselves. That's when it was, start eclipsing the German.
Yeah,
So the first German town was in Pennsylvania, which was
the original German settlement in the United
and
States.
then there was a German town, it's a German town in Ohio. So you start having this German town, and then it wasn't.
And that Germantown was founded in 1683. And where is Germantown now? It's a suburb of Philadelphia to the north. So we have them everywhere. Of course, some states had more Germans where they named more towns, or speculators that name it trying to attract business. And we went through Pennsylvania. Let's see, was it 3 weeks ago? And noted the German landscape of southern Pennsylvania. I'm just hoping to go to some other places like Ephrata Cloister. Does anyone know Ephrata? It's in Lancaster County, which is the hearth of Pennsylvania Germans. That's where a lot of Amish and Mennonite are, and other Germans of the 18th and 19th century. Any other questions? Well, you've been lovely. Oh, yes, Janet.
That's you are on her Facebook page, you see the Wegweiser, it's the cover photo. So when you go on there, and the other place you could see it, if you're at the permanent Schindler, they have a permanently there during the whole of the Schindler display up there, besides the traveling that.
Right,
It'll get.
but I gotta say, it's not as pretty as this, not as pretty as this.
It's more utilitarian.
Yeah,
just
it is.
because it's out.
But I was happy that they did that,
Yeah.
because that saves me driving up there saying, right, well, way nowhere. That's a clumsy translation. Yes. And of course, the signs have points to them, pointing in different directions. Of course, that's also, I have a little booklet out of print. It's called Wegweiser, a guide to German American sites in Indianapolis as well. All right, any other questions, comments? Any rags, any bones, any bottles today? No? That's Groucho Marx. You're welcome. All right, thank you very much.